You might not be entirely present. An aspect of you, quiet and unseen, could be existing right now in a realm that transcends space, time, and everything you've ever known to be real. You don't notice it amidst the busyness of your morning activities. You don't perceive it in your thoughts. Yet beneath the noise of your mind and the pull of gravity on your physical form, something deeper is at play. A version of you exists devoid of memories, aging, and limitations. It's not that you're in a dream. Instead, a deeper facet of you might be active elsewhere. Physics informs us that we inhabit a four-dimensional universe: up, down, forward, backward, and time. Nevertheless, our most advanced theories, which aim to unify phenomena from black holes to quarks, argue that additional dimensions are not just probable, but essential. One of these, referred to as the 11th dimension, serves as the quiet backdrop where everything you understand may be unfolding. But what implications does this hold for you? If existence has 11 layers and you only navigate through 4, are you truly whole? In the ancient teachings of mystics and the latest advancements in theoretical physics, an intriguing pattern starts to surface. The notion that your identity, what you identify as I, might not be confined within your skull or limited by life and death. That consciousness could extend beyond biological boundaries and chronological limits, suggesting your existence in this life may resemble a projection of a self you've yet to encounter. This isn't a declaration or a belief. It's a thought-provoking inquiry, an opportunity to hold a deeper possibility in your mind and simply ponder, could it actually be real? Throughout this exploration, we will delve into the 11th dimension as described through M-theory. We will draw on Jung's insights into the psyche, ancient wisdom, and contemporary research into consciousness that points towards something remarkable. This is not merely fictional. It is a call to listen more intently to the reverberations of your own being. As always, this video does not provide certainty, only an opportunity to reflect on a deeper possibility. The remainder is yours to experience, ponder, and retain. If you love the thrill of tackling the unanswerable and delving into what reality truly entails, you belong with us. So become part of our community by hitting that subscribe button. Are you prepared to encounter the aspect of yourself that's been waiting? Let's plunge in. You navigate through space as if it's the entirety of existence, moving forward and back, sideways, up and down. Time pulls you along like a river. But what if these familiar dimensions are merely illusions on a surface, and the space is far more expansive than you ever envisioned? In the realm of physics, M-theory boldly strives to unify all known forms of string theory into a single coherent model. To achieve this, it doesn't simply increase complexity, it introduces additional dimensions, 11 to be precise. In this framework, the cosmos isn't composed of particles, rather, it's constructed from minuscule vibrating strings. These strings aren't limited to the 3 dimensions you can perceive. They vibrate across as many as 10 spatial dimensions in addition to time. Yet here's the enigma. You don't observe them. You don't perceive their presence. So, where are they? They're compacted, folded so minutely that they remain unseen, akin to threads tightly coiled within the thickness of a page. You reside on what physicists refer to as a 3-brane, a 3-dimensional membrane that hovers in a higher dimensional space. You're embedded in this surface like a character sketched onto a page, unable to lift your gaze to perceive the atmosphere surrounding you. Yet, that space indeed exists within this higher dimensional realm. Entire universes, entire realities might be arranged like pages in a book, mere micrometers apart, yet separated by a dimension you cannot even begin to fathom. These branes can collide, drift, or produce ripples of gravitational echoes. Some hypotheses propose that the Big Bang itself could have been triggered by two brains colliding. This isn't fanciful thinking. These concepts originate from the keenest intellects in theoretical physics. Edward Witten, one of the architects behind M-theory, did not conceive the 11th dimension as a narrative twist. It originated as a mathematical necessity, a realm where gravity and quantum forces can finally communicate in harmony. Yet, consider this subtle implication. If you exist as a consciousness within a lesser dimensional framework, your perception is molded by that limitation. You don't encounter the 11th dimension, not because it lacks reality, but rather because your sensory apparatus wasn't created for it. What other aspects might remain hidden from your senses? If existence encompasses structures that lie beyond your awareness, what does that signify for the essence of self? Are you merely a product of your mind, a local manifestation of biology and remembrance? Or is it possible that fragments of your consciousness, your sense of identity, are reaching into realms that your physical form cannot comprehend? When you experience the fringes of déjà vu or the allure of something beyond explanation, perhaps it's more than mere mental trickery. It could be the resonance of a presence that resides in a dimension your vision cannot access. And perhaps that presence is still you. You perceive yourself as a singular thread, a name, a narrative, a body, waking in the same bed day after day. But what if that thread is just one piece in a far grander tapestry, with other parts of you unfolding in different realms? Jung referred to it as the self, not the ego, nor merely the conscious mind, but something more expansive, an entirety of existence that encompasses both shadow and light, conscious and unconscious, personal and transpersonal. In his insights, this deeper aspect of self transcended the facade you present. It lingered beneath the surface of time, intertwining moments, identities, and even lifetimes. A singular field of meaning revealing itself through a multitude of forms. Eastern mystics alluded to a similar understanding. In Vanta, the authentic self, the Atman, is not merely a spark within, it is the infinite manifesting through the finite. The Gnostics perceived the soul as not whole, but instead fragmented, scattered across dimensions like light passing through a prism. Theosophy suggested that your waking personality represents just one layer, a superficial self beneath which reside astral, causal, and divine bodies. Different densities, varied frequencies, diverse facets of your existence. If consciousness is indeed layered and multidimensional, what implications does that hold for your current experience? Have you ever encountered a dream so lifelike that it overshadowed your waking reality? A fleeting moment of déjà vu that felt like a memory that shouldn't exist. An intuition that surfaced before an event, sharp and inexplicable. These should not be dismissed as mere glitches. They are bleed-throughs, insights that penetrate the veil, echoes from aspects of you that are not confined to this present moment. Contemporary thinkers have started to arrive at similar insights, not through meditation, but via mathematical frameworks. Some hypotheses propose that the brain isn't the originator of consciousness, but rather a receiver, akin to a radio tuning into a signal already present in the atmosphere. The holonomic model of the brain perceives memory and perception not as stored information, but as holographic patterns, where each segment encompasses the entirety and the whole extends beyond its individual parts. If this holds true, then your awareness may not be an event transpiring in your brain, but something that your brain is calibrated to receive, and what it connects with could extend beyond just this dimension. This leads to a compelling question that lingers. If your waking identity is merely one receiver, are there other aspects of you, additional receivers tuned into other realities? Perhaps in dreams, those limitations start to fade. Perhaps in profound quietness, the signal becomes clearer. Perhaps the reason some memories seem to predate this lifetime is that they truly do, not in the sense of reincarnation, but in a fractal manner, as if your essence is branching across multiple realities, experiencing simultaneously from various viewpoints. The individual you recognize as yourself is tangible, yet it may only represent the surface of a vast, tranquil ocean. And in those moments of stillness, during déjà vu, or in sudden insights, in that nagging feeling of having forgotten something essential, perhaps another version of you is brushing against this one. Not an outsider, not a figment of imagination, just an expanded version of you. Imagine if your thoughts are just gentle waves on the surface, while the true consciousness lies deep within the ocean below. Not merely as a metaphor, but in a tangible, structural way. What if your awareness isn't confined to your head, but rather your head exists within your consciousness? This concept isn't just mystical science fiction, it's a rising inquiry among physicists, philosophers, and consciousness scholars. It suggests that what we refer to as the mind might not just be a byproduct of neural activity, but rather a fundamental aspect of reality itself. Quantum physicist David Bohm, whose thinking oscillated between equations and intuition, posited that our experiences represent the explicate order, the visible, measurable world we perceive. However, underlying that is the implicate order, a deeper, intertwined dimension where all things are connected, and the distinctions between objects, beings, and moments dissolve. Within this framework, consciousness doesn't arise from matter, but rather expresses itself through it. Others, such as philosopher Philip Goff, offer a different perspective. If consciousness is genuine and cannot be reduced to something simpler, then it may not be a deviation in nature, but an intrinsic element of its composition. This theory, known as panpsychism, posits that some form of awareness is pervasive. It doesn't imply that inanimate objects have consciousness, but rather that matter possesses the potential for experience, like how pixels of consciousness illuminate under specific circumstances. If this is accurate, then your brain and body do not originate your identity. They act more like a lens, a receiver, or an instrument that tunes into a specific frequency of existence. This is just one view among many. Furthermore, this perspective isn't solely theoretical. It intuitively resonates with accounts from those who have clinically died and subsequently returned with narratives of experiences that transcend the physical realm, such as observing rooms from above or overhearing conversations behind closed doors. These aren't vague dreams, but clear details that can later be validated. While these near-death experiences don't definitively prove life after death, they challenge the notion that consciousness ceases to exist when the brain stops functioning. And if awareness can exist independently from the body, even if only for a moment, what does that reveal about its origins? What you perceive as your identity might be a projection, not in a deceptive way, but geometrically, akin to a three-dimensional object casting a two-dimensional shadow. Your conscious mind, your sequential memories, all of it could potentially be that shadow. The true essence, the complete self, may actually reside in a higher dimensional realm. It's not that you're deceived, but that you are experiencing only one facet of a much broader reality. If M theory holds true, and our universe functions as a brain within an 11-dimensional framework, why should consciousness conform to separate principles? Perhaps awareness is also bound by the brain. Or it could be the continuum linking the minds, the connective fabric, the field that encapsulates everything, because it essentially embodies everything. This might explain why you occasionally sense events before they unfold. Why you awaken from dreams that seem reminiscent. Why a mere word, a fleeting glance, or a moment of silence can unlock an inner passage you were previously unaware of. because some aspect of you continues to observe from the alternate side. You awaken from a dream, heart racing, tears streaming down your face, but it wasn't this life, nor these individuals, nor this world. It felt more authentic than reality ever has. You can't articulate it. You try to dismiss it, but the sensation persists like an incomplete phrase etched in your spirit. These are not merely dreams. Occasionally, there's something beyond that. Across various cultures and eras, humans have recounted visions, lucid experiences, and instances of uncanny knowledge that defy logical explanation. A child articulates a location they've never visited with astonishing precision. Someone in profound meditation perceives their essence dissolving not into void, but into a greater consciousness, observing from the periphery. Psychedelic experiences, serendipitous mystical occurrences, the bewildering sensation of déjà vu, these are not just random events. They may represent fractures in the framework of our perceived reality. In deep states of meditation, the delineation of self often begins to fade. The sense of perception begins to diminish. There's still awareness, but it expands. Some individuals recount meetings with a version of themselves that feels both familiar and foreign, possessing a depth of wisdom and age that transcends time. In altered states, triggered by breathwork, entheogens, or even the experience of grief, this phenomenon emerges again. People describe stepping outside their own life narratives and encountering a presence that mirrors them, yet is more expansive. It's neither an angel nor an illusion, but rather a fuller realization of their potential self. It's as though the identity they inhabit is merely one window in a much larger residence. At times, it manifests as a subtle shift in emotion that seems illogical. An intuition can arrive fully formed, reminiscent of a memory from an event that has yet to take place. You might feel a peculiar attraction to a location you've never been to, only to experience an uncanny familiarity upon arrival. Although science may find it challenging to quantify these occurrences, it certainly acknowledges them. Studies into dream states, theogenic experiences, and near-death consciousness are revealing recurring themes. Instances of hyperreality, timelessness, and multi-layered identity. Some researchers now theorize that consciousness can momentarily detach from its usual neurological constraints, granting access to experiences or dimensions that are typically beyond reach. From a dimensional standpoint, these can be seen as points of resonance, moments where the frequency of your physical self aligns, albeit briefly, with a version of you that exists elsewhere in another time frame or perspective of existence. The interfacing falters, the veil thins, you connect with yourself from beyond. Carl Jung once noted that the self communicates not through language, but via symbols, synchronicities, and dreams. Ancient visionaries claimed the soul conveys messages through signs. Contemporary theories of consciousness suggest that it may function on a much broader spectrum than what we have charted, with dream states and intuitions serving as indicators from the periphery. So what if these peripheral experiences are not outliers but rather integral, no longer interruptions but invitations to a deeper understanding? What if the sensation of being observed, lurking silently behind your thoughts, isn't just your imagination? What if it's actually you residing in the 11th dimension, not hovering above and looking down, but rather walking alongside you at all times? A more expansive version of yourself could already be conscious. Neither a deity nor a mentor, but simply the aspect of you that has never been divided, never forgotten, never dozed off within this narrative. Perhaps occasionally this part reaches through the dimensional divide. Not with concrete answers, but with an emotion, a gentle recollection, an unexpected clarity, a heartbeat that silently communicates, "I am still here." And in that fleeting moment, perhaps you are too, completely at last, even if just for a breath. Remembering who you are might not involve delving deeper into thought, but rather expanding outward into presence. You have experienced life as a singular identity, possessing a name, a voice, a timeline of choices. But what if this identity is merely one facet of a complex jewel? What if the rest of you is not lost, but simply residing elsewhere? Not in the future, nor in the past, but in a dimension where time is not linear and identity is not one-dimensional. The 11th dimension is not merely a theoretical concept, it's a metaphor, a guide, a way to envision the ineffable. Your consciousness could be extensive, interconnected, and functioning in realms beyond your physical senses. Perhaps when you dream of experiences that are not your own, they indeed are. Or when you sense a truth that defies logical understanding, it's because logic is a localized dialect, while your essence communicates in a broader tongue. There's no tangible proof to grasp, no formula to resolve the inquiry, only the subtle gravity of your own inner conviction. The quiet feeling that what you refer to as I is simply the beginning. If this is accurate, then your life, personality, and this moment do not constitute the entire narrative. They are just a chapter. And within the dimensional layers surrounding you, other segments of your narrative may already be unfolding, observing, waiting, whispering. Not to draw you away, but to remind you of your true nature, not broken, not small, but simply unfinished. And perhaps that's the most remarkable revelation. If other parts of you exist out there, what will it take to feel complete? We are not here to discover all the answers, but rather to recollect the questions that truly matter.